It's a rather cloudy day and super beautiful. Hey there, Dobby. Mr. Beautiful Man. Alrighty. So, coming up in about a week will be the first of my summer series. And the summer series is based upon vaccine medicine, which so many people just instantly have a reaction to. That's okay. Don't worry about it. I have discovered over the past 30 years, there's the deer. I have discovered over the past 30 years that most people exist in the bulging middle of the standard bell curve. On almost every topic, Americans at least are primarily centrist in their viewpoint. We are a balanced society. There goes Dobby chasing the deer. And unfortunately, a bell curve has about 2% of its population on either end, the far left and the far right. And those are the screamers, the ones that get a lot of attention. And what we end up with is this big mistake that happens in our mind. And I'm not criticizing anyone because it makes sense. We believe what we see, right? There's some phrase around that. See it and you'll believe it, or if I see it, I'll believe it, that type of thing. That's what the media takes advantage of. The very, very well organized media that is centrally controlled by a supremely small number of human beings dominates the worldview that billions of people have. Because we cannot help but imagine that if there were other voices out there that were different, they would somehow be showing up on our radio and on our television and on our computer screen. But unfortunately, that's not the case. And it's hard for us to accept this. So I've talked to thousands of people over the last 28 years on this topic. And this is because I spent 10 years going to Olympia every February. And I've been involved in, trust me, I've been very involved. But I've always said, for example, that there are as many right decisions or right ways of doing things as there are people making those decisions and doing those things. It is completely inappropriate for me to tell another person what they should do when it comes to something as important as a medical decision, especially one that involves injecting something permanently into your body that if you change your mind later, you can't stop or remove it. You can experiment with some pills, and if it doesn't work well, you can decide to go off of that medication. You can't do that with an injected pharmaceutical. That's my boy, Mr. Man, patrolling the property. Good boy. So I've had great conversations with a lot of people because pretty soon they figure out I'm not judgmental. I'm not trying to tell them what to do. And as a result, people start talking to me. And I've come to realize that when you sit down and talk to someone on any wedge issue for maybe half an hour, and you do so in a way that's non-contested, non-argumentative, where you're really listening, you discover that most people are in the bulgy middle of that bell curve, which is the whole concept of the bell curve. So what this means is that we live amongst people who think very similarly to ourselves. Even if it's different, they're in a similar area of thought. We have much company. We are super united in America in a lot of our beliefs. But the media keeps us confused and lies to us about what our fellow American citizens think. All you have to do is give all of your screen time, all of your media time to people who are constantly arguing from either extreme, and the billions of viewers around the world are going to watch that and make the assumption, and once again, I'm not judging, but make the natural and appropriate assumption that this reflects society. So you look across the street and you look at your neighbor who you don't chat with very often, and you think to yourself, well, I wonder which side they're on. Which side? Those words say so much. And our language matters, because when we say that or think that, it causes us to start to form a presupposition, a belief, whether we realize it or not. Because we've assumed that they're on a side. We've assumed that there are only sides. In fact, there are two sides. And if I am on this side, then that means half of this population, half of the people around me, are on the other side, and we are in a state of ideological warfare. And that's very alarming. So what do people do? They get nervous, anxious. They shut down. They start avoiding those topics. They don't bring them up at church, at the playground, with fellow parents, at work, at a family gathering. And as we all start to avoid these topics, that silence begins to whisper in our ears. And it says to us, ooh, they're not bringing it up because they're also scared of what would happen, because there's something to be scared of. And so now you're even less likely to actually ask a question and listen and hear the answer, because you're scared to bring it up, right? And you're scared why? Because there's something to be scared of. And so now you're confident that there's going to be a blow up, that if you show up with 18 people at a family dinner over the holidays, you're pretty much statistically guaranteed that you've got people there who have such divergent views that if the topic were raised, it would come to blows. And so on and so forth. And this is where we find ourselves stuck right now in this beautiful country where we have this rare, constitutionally protected culture that says freedom of speech has value, freedom of thoughts is valuable, exchanging ideas with other people is valuable. We have all this understanding of that, but in practice, right, we're really not living the dream. We are not walking the walk. And once again, no judgment, because it makes all the sense in the world what's happening. So what I want to say to you now is that when you become a paid subscriber to my Substack, and when you start to receive my summer series in your inbox every 4 or 5 days throughout the summer, you're going to find that I approach this topic in a non-judgmental, respectful, balanced way that quite literally should make every single person feel at ease and comfortable while reading my content And I will have these little brief videos at the beginning, and then there will be written content. I know that people really love videos. I do too, because you can put your headset on and you can go out and do some chores and you're not having to sit still and stare at a screen. But the rain's coming. I think I'm going to go back to the house. I am going to be providing some links to different sources that you can go check out yourself. And writing down some of these thoughts I think has value. So it's going to be a blend of a video introduction to each topic with written content. And this is 30 years of my effort, energy, attention, and careful examination of the issue. So I'm going to ask once again that you share this and encourage people to at least temporarily sign up as a paid subscriber. And that's the cool thing about Substack. You can sign up as a paid subscriber monthly, and after a couple of months, if this is all you needed from me, then you can go in and save yourself that $8 or whatever it is a month, and you can cancel the subscription. It's really quite easy to do. And you can also sign up for a full year, and then you don't have to think about it. But Substack will renew at the end of the year. So, put something in your calendar that says, hey, do I still like March's content? Is it still worth my hard-earned money? Or do I want to go in and cancel before the renewal date? I think this is a win-win situation. Good for you, good for the people in your life, good for your future medical decisions, because what we learn in this series about vaccine medicine, a lot of it applies to pharmaceutical medicines and the industry in general. Hi, babies. Cut these boards here so they don't dig holes in the ground. Where are my babies? There they are. Hi, babies. And it's a win for me because I have bills to pay. I've got a new life to create. And I have a career to build, hopefully on top of this beautiful foundation that I dedicated the last 20 years of my life to growing. So, anyways, sign up, share, and show up to listen to my videos and read my Substack summer series, because it may be one of the most balanced, non-vitriolic, respectful, but honest and safe and hopefully enjoyable conversations about the topic that you can find in the world today. Okie doke. That's me. Haha, you're going to get to see me all covered in rain. That's me signing off. Have a great day.